Hi there, welcome to Lilly-Tree. Today we're going to make these wire wrapped earrings. So let's get wrapping. For these earrings we need 1mm diameter copper wire, which is 18 gauge, 0.4mm diameter copper wire, which is 26 gauge, around 6mm diameter beads, and some ear hooks. And the tools we need are bell making pliers or a mandrel, chain or flat nose pliers, wire cutters, a hammer and block, a file, and optionally a torch and tweezers. The first thing we're going to do is create some balled head pins. So I've got a scrap of the 1mm wire here. It's about 3 inches long and I'm going to do both ends of this. But you need pieces of wire probably about 1.5 inches long. So we just need to hold it in the tweezers and heat it with the torch until the end balls up. Now if you don't have a torch, you could just make a small loop on the end of the wire or hammer it the same as I'll show you the other end later. Once the wire's cleaned up, we can cut it to length and do the same with the other end. I'm cutting mine at 2 centimetres, which is just over 3/4 inch, but you can make them as long as you wish. And we're then going to add on the bead. Now normally this would sit on top of that ball, but for this design we want the head pin to sit the other way around. So in order to stop the bead falling off, we're going to hammer the other end. I'm just going to take my small raising hammer and we just need to hammer the very end of the wire. Just so it splays out. We can then check to make sure the bead's held securely and sitting where we want it. Now this one's slipping too far down, so we'll just hammer that end a little bit more until that bead's sitting where we want it. And of course we'll do the other wire to match. We're then going to make the rest of the frame. So for each earring we want a piece of wire that's about 7.5 centimetres long, which is 3 inches. And we're going to bend that around the 8mm step on the bell making pliers. Or you can use a mandrel for this. We just want to get it to the point where those two wires are crossing at about 90 degrees. We'll then take our chain or flat nose pliers and we want to bend the ends of the wires back again so that they're sitting parallel and have a small gap in between for that first wire that we made. So it will sit in just like this. We then want to bend those wires outwards so they'll run either side of the bead. And once we're happy with the shape, we can trim the ends off . And then we'll hammer those ends in the same way as we did with the first wire. Once we're here, we can hammer the rest of the wire just to help it hold its shape. And then we just want to file those ends just to remove any burrs from the hammering. And we can shape them a bit at this point as well if we want. I like them to be slightly rounded. And we can do the same with that first wire that has the bead. And of course we'll shape the wire for the second earring in the same way. And we're ready to start wire wrapping. For the wrapping, we're going to take some of the 0.4mm or 26 gauge wire. I've got quite a bit here. We only really need about 15 centimetres or 6 inches of the wire, but it's easier to wrap if you've got a bit spare. And we're going to wrap twice around the top of that beaded wire. Make sure it's wrapped nice and tightly. And push that up to the top, just under the balled end. And then we can hold it in place. And we want to wrap twice over that middle wire and one of the outside wires. This is a little bit difficult to hold and show you. I'm making it look quite fiddly. Just make sure you've got two nice wraps over those two frame wires. And then take your weaving wire through between them. Maybe if I hold this with my needle nose pliers, I can show you a bit easier. So then we're going to wrap twice over that middle wire and the other outside wire, which is the bottom wire here. Then take your weaving wire through between them. And then go back and wrap twice over the top two wires. And we can use a flat nose or chain nose pliers just to settle those wires down as we go. We'll continue wrapping over the two wires each side down to the bottom. And then to finish, just wrap twice over that middle wire, just on top of the bead. We can then trim the ends of the weaving wire. Just make sure they're tucked in nicely. Then we'll put our ear hook onto that top loop of the earring. Weave the other frame in the same way, and our earrings are finished. Hope you enjoyed the video. If so, why not head to this playlist for more like it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.